The historic hockey series in Kingston is a reproduction and reenactment plus a competition rolled into one package each winter to depict the first game that was played between the students of Queen's University and the cadets of the Royal Military College back in 1886. The manner in which the game is played is quite significant in the sense that the rules of that era are employed, and also the attire which the students and cadets wear are reminiscent of that period.
Now, where did the idea come from?
The idea came from basically from Captain James Sutherland back in the 1940s, who was quite energetic in his advocacy that Kingston was the first place in which the early games of hockey were played, or even the formation of the game was played. And he attempted to portray this activity by having a game, a reenactment, played on the Kingston Harbor Ice back in 1947. I understand it was also filmed at the time by a film production company, and portions of that game are still preserved on film. And it also was an attempt to have people understand what had been involved in the development of the game and the manner in which the game was played. And of course, it gave individuals an opportunity to see just under what conditions the games were played at that time. They were not played in the comfort of arenas. Even if the arenas were old and cold, it still was a different type of experience at that time, particularly playing on the Kingston Harbor Ice, subject to the winds that sweep off the Lake Ontario and also the St. Lawrence River. There are two origins or two startups of the game. One was the 1947 game that was filmed, though, when Captain Sutherland was alive. But the game that started off these series of games that are now played started in 1969 as a part of the Kingston Winter Carnival. There was an individual organizer here, Phil Quattrochi, who asked Bill Fitzel to prepare the rules in that connection, and Bill secured some documentation and prepared the rules that were to be observed in the playing of the game here in Kingston during the Winter Carnival, which is held each year in February in Kingston. And it has developed in a way that I consider to be quite appropriate. The Queen's University administrators and also those at the Royal Military College have cooperated in this manner quite significantly, and it has become a spectacle of its own character. For many individuals, it's very difficult to think of the game as it was developed, because there were all sorts of complications and problems that developed at that time. The type of skates, the type of attire that was employed, and also the rules as well. Of course, safety was not necessarily a major feature of the early game, but the skates and padding were rather primitive, if I may use that phrase in connection with the sport. The skates were usually spring-loaded skates, which often came off when individuals attempted sharp turns and what have you, and also stopping on skates, as the game now has shown itself to the public. The other thing is that the padding was almost non-existent. The goals were rather crude. They were simply log posts driven into the ice, and they froze there and remained as such. And the referees at that time used a bell rather than a whistle. Of course, the reasons for this are quite obvious. A metal whistle at that time would stick to the referee's lips permanently, given the very cold temperatures that were evident at the time the games were played, particularly in mid-February and in January. In any event, it's an illustration of how the game developed, how the game was played, and an appreciation, hopefully, of the difficulties that the players had to undergo in this connection.